So I'm just going to do a short video on how to bag plants for shipping. It's actually pretty simple, and this is the way we do it. It's the easiest way. There's no need to get complicated with it and use paper towels or whatever. So we've got our shipping box here, and as you can see, this got styrofoam in it. I've got a video on that too if you happen to need to look for it. I just put a little bit of newspaper or some other kind of paper in the bottom just to soak up any moisture. There shouldn't be much though, just because I don't really bag anything with water. So aquatic plants don't need to be in water when they're shipped. They're fine. Just make sure you bag them in plastic. You don't have to use specific, like these are fish bags, but you don't have to use specific fish bags. You can use Ziploc bags, that would work, or something like that. Just something that will kind of help seal the water in, or the moisture in. And like for example, I've got Bacopa Caroliniana here, and all I did, I just put it in. I actually just rinsed the plants off, put them in the bag. Like I actually like shake them dry a little bit, and as you can see, there's no real moisture in here. You can see a couple little droplets, but there's no, I don't leave any water in these bags. And then I actually use a bag sealer, and I just seal it up at the top somewhere. I usually flatten them out as much as I can, and that just gives me more room to put them into boxes. They don't need air while they're in transit, because they're not photosynthesizing, so they don't have any light, so having air is not really essential. And the little bit of moisture that's in here on the plants already is enough to keep them moist, and they won't dry out in transit. So, and also the nice thing about keeping them flat like this is that it keeps them from moving around too much. So like when it's flat, as you can see, whenever I go to shake it, it's not really doing a whole lot. But if it was a bag that, I don't know if I have one here, but if it was a bag that had air in it, I don't have any, but if it was a bag that had air in it and you go to shake it, it would be like the plant would move all around in there, and what it will end up doing is actually just damage it inside the bag, so we don't want that. So yeah, as far as that goes, you don't have to use a bag sealer. You can just, if it's a Ziploc, obviously just zip it closed, and you can take tape and just tape it over. With this small amount of water that's in here, it's not going to be a big issue if a little bit does drip out, so it's not a big deal. And then as far as just putting them in the boxes, I just take them like this. I usually, with mine, I'll, like with this bunch deal, I've got several plants, so I'm actually going to fit all these together. I'm going to squeeze any excess air out, and then I'm just going to put them in the box like this and just curl them around. As long as you're gentle with it, you won't break any stems, and they're totally fine like this. They'll straighten back out, once you take them out of the box, and once they get into the light, they'll straighten out just fine. So it's not an issue like that. And then basically after that, all I do is, once we're done putting plants in, I just take like some more newspaper or styrofoam or whatever, and just kind of fill in the rest of the box, just so there's no gaps. And that also keeps it from shaking around and getting beat around too much. And then ultimately, I've got a lid that I cut out, styrofoam. And for some reason, some people seem to forget the lid, but it's very important, because if you want to insulate, you've got to have a lid on it. So you put the lid on, and whenever I cut these, I make it to where, as you can see, the lid is sticking up a little bit above the top of the box. And I do that on purpose, because, and that's done based on how tall you make these pieces. I do that on purpose because whenever you go to tape it up like that, you actually have to push down on it like that. And what it does, it actually helps keep the styrofoam all nice and tight and keeps it nice and insulated. So yeah, that's it. And then obviously after that, we just put our postage on and go from there. If you are shipping from online, like an online purchase,